What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar with C-Zar Gets Crypto, and we are talking about Bitcoin Cash. Shout out to the Dragon Riders in the House of the Dragon. Right now, things are kind of confusing. Maybe not confusing, but they're neutral, rather neutral. You know, the price hasn't really been doing too much. Yes, we had this bearish day, but then we came back up right in the middle of this zone that we've been hanging out now for over a week in. The RSI itself is around that 50 area, kind of doing nothing. Yes, we're above the 50, but Bitcoin Cash doesn't really care about its 50 level, guys. You know, here we were above it, we still went down. Here we were below it, we still went up. You know, it doesn't, just because you close above it or below it, it's not as significant as it is in some other coins. But the area itself is. So, you know, coming down like this just because we close above the 50, again, isn't a bullish thing. But if we can get lower and out of this 50, that would suggest that we do go lower in the price as well. And it wouldn't be crazy. Looking at this fib from the most relative low to the relative high here, it wouldn't be crazy to find support at your 382. If we take a trend line here, an ascending support line from low to low there, the 382 is basically right there. And if we were to hit that line and hit the 382 at the same time, that would have to happen within the next day or two, like quite literally the next day or two. So that move would be something like 7% of a move from the current price down there. About 7%, yeah. So definitely possible, definitely doable. From, you know, from an opening to a low basis, we had a 6% day on here to finish this down move with a little bit bigger of a candle. Wouldn't be too crazy. Anyways, kind of would make sense if we went lower, but we could go higher from here as well. One way or another, I kind of would expect that we are going to make another high above this. But if you guys watched my Bitcoin November analysis and altcoins are in trouble videos, you guys know that I'm expecting some kind of a drop, some turbulence in the month of November. And I want to go over kind of a quick little assessment of those videos. If you haven't seen them, I definitely recommend them. They're like my 8th videos down the list or something like that. But you know, this one's obvious because it's the only one with like a what do they call that? A template? I don't know. A picture. What I want to talk about pertaining to those videos is that the month of November is known for having these drops that are somewhat significant. You know, they're not the biggest drop months, but they're common months where there are drops. But that doesn't mean the month itself closes red. Sometimes it's actually just a volatile month where you open, you go up a little bit, then you crash, and then you finish the month green. Like all in a month, you go down 34%, you come back up like more than that, and you actually end up closing the month green. So it is possible that we could go a little bit lower, find support, go to a new high in this kind of channel here. That line is not drawn properly at all, but you get what I'm saying. And then from there, see the drop. It's possible that we don't get the drop at all, you know, but statistically speaking, I do think we're going to see some turbulence in November. I know we have the Bitcoin ETF news kind of being a big deal, right? That's what a lot of people are leaning on for this like bullish pump that we've been getting. I think that if it came out that the ETFs were not getting approved, the markets might get shocked a little bit, or there might be some downside pressure to scare people, shake out the weak hands. But eventually, you know, we're going to do the same thing that we do anytime that an ETF gets denied, you guys. We're just going to be like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. This is still crypto. We don't need an ETF. Like, who cares? I mean, like, we're going to get one. It's going to be good for the markets eventually, you know, and inevitably. But we don't need it to continue to go higher. You know, we just need it to mess with our media, with our what's the word I'm looking for? Starts with an S. Sentiment. Maybe that's not an S. I don't know. Is that a C? Sentiment. Whatever. It sounds like S. To mess with the sentiment, because if you have everybody excited and hopeful that this is the reason things are going up, it's because the ETF's going to get approved. There's rumors. It's in the wind. It's already priced in, and then the ETF doesn't come out, and the big boys, whoever's in charge and controlling the markets, they dump the markets artificially while releasing this news at the same time. That's going to shake people out. But how it's going to happen, I know I'm getting off on a tangent here, guys, but honestly, in my experience, this isn't the first, second, third, it might not even be the fourth time that I've heard this ETF news in the last like 6 years. It's probably been more than that, man. Like, honestly, It happens like once or twice a year, sometimes more than that actually. Last cycle there were like 3 different dates that kept getting pushed back and then ultimately not producing anything. So there's ETF news like 3 times in 1 year. But I'm getting off track. What I'm trying to say, guys, is if this happens the same way as it's happened before, what's going to happen is that we're going to get a drop before we get the negative news. Okay, so if we get the drop, what's going to happen is, there's people are going to say there's no story. We don't know why the drop's happening. The ETF sounds like it's going to get approved. Maybe this is in anticipation that it's not going to get approved. And then as it's dropped, as it's at its low point, that's when we get the negative news that the ETF is not getting approved. The ETFs are not approved. We're going to get that negative news. And it's going to be at the lowest point of the drop, probably, or around it at least. And then we're not going to go lower. We're going to come back up just as fast as we did going down, and then people they're going to forget all about this ETF thing, man. It's not going to matter because we're going to go on to new highs regardless, and that's why I think we're going to see a very kind of quick, if we drop, let's say we do it from here, we're going to have a rather quick drop on the bearish sentiment, and then we're going to be like, oh, we're silly. We don't need an ETF. We can still go to new highs. So, we didn't have ETF news back here. Anyways, that's just kind of my prediction, and that's based off experience. That's literally how it's happened. Like if there were 10 times that it happened, it's happened like 9 out of 10 times, if not every time. It's literally just like that. You will get the move down first. The news will come out at the bottom, like literally at the bottom. There's going to be people saying things like, and I'm sure you guys watch other YouTubers, but like there's going to be people who maybe aren't into TA as much, but they're more into like the news side, the fundamentals, the media side. They're going to say things like, I don't know why the price is going down. It's the ETF seems like it's going to get approved. Maybe, and this is the keywords, maybe this is anticipation of the ETF not getting approved. There's no news on it yet, but this is in anticipation of the ETF not getting approved. And then, lo and behold, the news will come out that reflects exactly what the price action is doing, and we will end up going up inevitably from there. I'm getting off track. This is way off TA. This is more just off of like speculation based on experience. Like literally this exact thing has happened a bunch of times. But if the ETFs are supposed to get approved when, I think it's November 25th or November 24th, that's like the date or whatever, I would expect that a week or 2 weeks before that, we're going to be at our low. So actually, the more that I think about it, man, if my November analysis holds true, we actually might be on our way down right now. It wouldn't be crazy. To me, it really wouldn't be crazy if we found our low at this 382 and continued to go higher. But again, we don't have to, we don't have to even go higher. We could find a double top and then drop from there. We don't even have to bounce off the 382 or like bounce too hard. Maybe we continue to go lower from there. If we were to see an average drop, if you watch these videos, I'll cut to the chase for you in the altcoins are in trouble video, the average drop for the average altcoin, and Bitcoin Cash is no exception, is 34.4%. Now, it wouldn't actually be from the current price. It'd be from the top of the month, right? Or the high before the drop, I should say. So that would actually be 34.22% all the way back down at the low. 34.3% is the average. So Smooth Operator, you're actually the one that pointed this out to me, going over the video, and you measured it like this. You mentioned that in a comment, and it's kind of uncanny. It's kind of funny. Maybe we don't go that low, just because Bitcoin Cash is an altcoin, right? Technically, I know that might hurt some Bitcoin Cash Dragon Riders' ears, but it is an altcoin. It could definitely go that low, but it's also a very top tier altcoin. It might be more resilient. We might not see the average drop. It might be a little bit less than that, right? But anything can happen. Again, regardless of what happens, how far down we go, how little far down we go, I expect it's going to be a very dramatic recovery, just as it was a dramatic drop. And then we'll go on from there. But at the moment, regardless, one way or another, I do think we're going to go lower. I do think we're going to go lower. And the timing, man, the timing with the ETF just has me thinking, I don't know. Here in 2 days, 3 days time, we dropped about that, right? We dropped 30.7%, 3 days time. So it doesn't take much time to do this. Maybe it does drop a week out from it. But again, I think the ETFs are supposed to be approved, or like the date for it, the decision is like the 24th or the 25th, if I heard correctly. I I mean, 14 bars 2 weeks before. That would be November 11th. That gives us about a week right now. That literally gives us about a week. We could go, we could go down and go up a little bit, but I don't know if we're going to break this high, guys. I'm really starting to think we actually don't break this high before having this dramatic dump. And again, the average is all the way down here, but we don't have to go that low. Maybe we just go lower than this low and then find support somewhere, and then we go up. I don't know. I kind of curved this line. Maybe we don't find support on a ascending trend line. Let's see. From bottom to top. Maybe we find it at the 618 or 69, but there's a lot suggesting that we could go below $200 from here. That's not exciting. I'm not playing the game with this thing. I'm holding it, right? I've bought my bags. I'm holding it. I'm not going to sell it or play the game with this at all. So I'd rather it just go up. I don't have any shorts or anything that would promote value for me if it went down, but this is just my honest opinion, my honest analysis, right? If we look at the daily, the RSI is kind of neutral. We're above the 50, but so what? This thing, it's closed below the 50 and then went up. It's closed above the 50 and then went down. It doesn't respect the daily 50 on the RSI with the 10 length, right? That's the input that I use. So the 4-hour RSI itself is also rather neutral. There's bullish things going on because you're above the 50, but there's bearish things because you're rejecting the 60. The 1 hour looks kind of ready to go down a little bit. The 15-minute does too, but these are shorter term, so they can turn around at any point. But it wouldn't be crazy to go down from here. It really wouldn't even be crazy to start the descent from here. And it might crawl, and then as we get closer to that 11th date, that's when we really start to dump. And then we'll get the negative news like relatively after the dump or at the low of the dump. And from there, maybe we move sideways for a little bit and then have a very fantastic, and when I say a little bit, I mean like a week or two, not like months, just like maybe even less than a week, but we have a fantastic recovery from there. I would say that the recovery, if we're going down, the recovery would be quicker than this one would, right? Like it'd go down quicker than this, and it would recover quicker than that as well. So I don't know how much that made sense, but if you guys liked the video, leave a thumbs up. If it's your first time being here, definitely hit the like. Subscribe if you haven't. We talk about TA all the time here for anything really, coins, commodities, stocks, right? Whatever, Forex. I really don't care what we talk about. If you guys have a request, you want to see anything done, some analysis done, an opinion, that's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but you just want to see someone who likes to do charts, something that you have your eye on, leave it in the comment section. You can join the Discord. I'll leave a link for that in the description. We have a request page there as well, but that's all I'm going to say. That's enough shilling of the channel. Thank you guys so much for coming, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.